There's some.
Chief Jaeger.
Oh, I mean, I think Nick sent them out.
Nick sent them out.
Yeah, so Nick or Carrie would have access to those.
Well, that gives me a way to search for them. Thank you.
This is actually going to be a relatively quick meeting, I think.
Well, now that you said that,
What? I don't think that's how reality works.
yes, it is.
All right. Well, I don't subscribe to the secret, so.
I know. You're lost. Hi, Larry.
Hello, everybody. What's up? It's the beginning of Emily today.
That's right.
Man, we need to figure out a way to fix how we do that stuff with the hospitals. That's such BS.
What stuff?
So with the disallowing the excessive tax claim,
Oh,
because if we just like agree to it and don't fight it, then we get a chance to reapportion it all.
Look, Steve
But
sharp.
if we fight it and we lose,
Always
then we
sharp,
have to pay
Steve.
it out of the general fund.
Always sharp. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good, Steve.
It's so obnoxious, Emily. Make it
I'm
stop.
sorry. I will. I'm going to fix it all. Don't worry.
Please do. Please fix it all.
For the people.
Larry, can you very stealthily sign this?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Where do you want to be signed?
Anyway, you can do it right across the front.
No. I should sign here.
Did you want to,
Don't look. Don't look.
I'm not looking.
Don't look. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. After this meeting, I want to sit down with you. There's something I want to tell you. I'm upset about something, but I hope you.
Is there going to be something in the beginning?
No, about it. No, for me.
Be upset about it too.
No.
What?
the one, how do you want to do yours?
I don't know.
Before that? Before everything?
Maybe.
Okay, let's do
So-
it before you even call the meeting to order, or after you call the meeting to order? and
I'll call the meeting to order, Sanford Legends, after the roll. And then I'll do welcome, and then you'll go.
And then it's Josh.
Oh, Josh. Yeah.
I think Joshua can do it.
Okay, well, I think we're ready. Yep. Okay. This meeting of the Eau Claire City Council will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Berge,
Here.
Brewster,
Here.
Johnson, Imboga,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Otto,
Here.
Reed,
Here.
Schoen,
Here.
Serrano,
Here.
Worthman.
Great. Thank you, and welcome everyone to the Tuesday, April 14th meeting of the Eau Claire City Council. Before we do our consent agenda, I think Councilmember Miller has something to say. I've been told.
Not me, but on behalf of many parties, I will go to the podium.
Oh, okay. Oh, I should as well? Oh.
President Berge, if you can join me at the podium, please. I, on behalf.
Am I?
I will read a proclamation written on behalf of the council and the city. So the proclamation states, whereas Emily Berge was elected to serve on the city council in 2018 and has faithfully and honorably served as the city, as council president, and then a member, excuse me, let me start again. Whereas Emily Berge was elected to serve on the city council in 2018 and has faithfully and honorably served the city as council member and then council president over the past 8 years. And whereas during those years, she has showed up diligently and enthusiastically to 500 plus meetings covering topics ranging from cat licensing to water utilities to detailed lists of fund transfers. And whereas during this time, Emily has also served as the president of the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, and while in that role, helped Eau Claire grow to be the 7th largest city, and resolved to fix the broken Wisconsin municipal finance system, even though no one to date has succeeded in this effort. And whereas Emily is widely known as serious-minded and diligent, but she also brings fun and joy to hard or boring tasks. And whereas true to her professional training, Emily is an incredible listener, and she doesn't just listen, but also hears, makes connections, and takes action. And whereas Emily has a heart for service, for kindness, for welcoming the stranger, for drawing in those who feel left out or left behind, and elevating their voices. And whereas Emily is refined, but also scrappy, which is a perfect combination for public service. And
Refined and scrappy?
refined and scrappy. Whereas Emily takes on the challenges and makes the hard choices when they are the right thing to do, even when it means facing discomfort or criticism. And now, therefore, we, as your fellow community and city organization members, do hereby extend profound appreciation to Emily Berge and declare that she shall be celebrated with the honorific of the, quote, Listen and Take Action Award, as well as the highest honor of the Women in the Arena Award, which is granted to someone who, despite the skeptics, sleepless nights, and challenges, steps up to help our community and the world. Thank you.
I know what to do now.
Okay, so Emily, why don't, we have a gift for you, and then, some, then I think no, just stay there, and then your colleagues are gonna make comments, and then you can make some comments.
Okay.
But first, the gift.
Is it a check? Better. Aw.
So Emily, we know that you have had as a cornerstone of your service a sense of welcoming to the community, both newcomers and long-timers and everybody in between. And you wanted to have this up on the wall, and we're really proud that it's up there now. And this is a smaller version of it to commemorate your spirit and service that you've brought. And I also just want to say it also reflects the incredible craftsmanship and artistry that we have among our employees. It's made by our sign shop, and they really can do, across all of our different departments, people can do pretty much anything that's required in our community. And just to kick off the appreciation, I just want to say, I, as the council president, of course, I get to spend a lot of time. As a city manager, I get to spend a lot of time with the council president, and I've just so appreciated your just incredible moral compass that you bring to everything. And you're kind of no drama and get stuff done, but that doesn't mean you don't take on hard stuff. You do it in a very calm way. You bring a lot of peace to whatever you do and tackle, even though you're taking on hard work, and that's a pretty extraordinary combination. And also, you are an incredible listener, which is like so helpful. I know you listened a lot to me, which, you know, I didn't pay for you, even though you do this as your job. So that was really helpful, and also you're really fun. So like we had a lot, even though it's really hard, or especially when it's really hard, it's good to have those moments where we laugh about what we can accomplish and what we can't accomplish. So I just want to pass it on to the council members and also the incoming council president, Greg Gert, if they want to share some comments.
Can I sit down now?
No, because you're going to get up.
Do I call on people or?
I want to go first.
Probably just go,
You all have to
maybe
go
around the
for
horn
yourself,
or.
I guess.
No, vice
Yeah.
president.
So, I think this is obviously a huge change for our city, a huge change for our council. Your leadership has just been incredible over the last 8 years for our community. And I think one thing I want to bring up that I saw in the way that you led is this idea of how to bring more voices and more community input and more perspectives, whether you agree with them or not, into the decision-making of our council. And so what I witnessed and what I think should be an inspiration to all of us is the way that, as council president especially, you worked through some incredibly difficult community conversations where you brought your best self into our meetings and opened up the kind of welcoming dialogue and energy that I think we should continue to aspire to. You made that your kind of your North Star. And I think, I don't know, for all of us in our lives, I think that's a real inspirational point for us to take forward, and just want to thank you for that piece. You did a lot, but that piece, I think, made our city so much better. So thank you.
Thank you
for
Vice
your
President.
leadership.
Thank you.
Sure, I'll go next.
I'll go over here now.
So Emily, I think it was about 4 years ago, around this time, we first met, and it was in Fairchild, and we were talking about the needs of the rural community out there. And long before, well, a couple years before I was on city council, you offered excellent advice. And I appreciate all of the advice and great ideas you've brought forward. I think of you as a mentor, and I appreciate your service. And above all else, I appreciate what you've done to my town, the good stuff. So
city.
thank you. Yes, city.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I'll call us a city now, yeah. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks, Councilmember Otto.
Let me go around next. Hi. Thank you so much, Council President Berge. I'm also reflecting back to when I was first elected, and you reached out to me right away. And we had a really good sort of initial conversation, and you made yourself completely available. You said, this is when I'm available, which was a great availability, actually. And you were a good sounding board, and completely committed to how we can each be really successful council members. So from that perspective, I felt like you really went above and beyond in terms of leading this group, is to make sure that everybody kind of knew what was going on, or, you know, we could ask you questions, we could call you, you pick up or call us back right away. So I really appreciate that very, very much. I just always knew that I could just call you with anything. And again, we've had, it's been quite a tenure you've had here, and been through a lot of ups and downs. And I just really appreciate also the public service. It's not easy to be in the public eye and to really be thinking about always what's best for the greatest volume of people, and those are hard things to juggle. So I really appreciate your public service. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilman Serrano.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to talk about the public service component, and they should, because it's exemplary. I guess I would like to thank you for your patience as I acclimated to being on council. I know I had a number of things that let's just say required some careful discussion and things like that. And you know, I know when I want to get something done, I can be a bit of a bull in a china shop. And so I just wanted to say, on a personal level, thank you for your patience and your guidance.
Sure, yeah. Thanks, Councilman Brewster.
Thank you, outgoing City Council President Emily, for your service. But for me, there are two things for the last 4 years I've been a City Council which stand out. One, there's a lot of things you have done, but one, during your leadership, we started community engagement. So we go, this is the south, the north, and we bring the city government to this neighborhood, and we discuss the problem facing that neighborhood, from the police, from everything. So I really appreciate that one. Then another one is, you see, today this is the first time I've come here and say, what is this?
Yes, I was surprised to me too.
Yeah, and the last is, on Monday, we used to have a city council, used to start at 7 o'clock. You brought it 6 o'clock during your leadership. Thank you for that. Yeah, those, thank you again for the service.
Thank you. Councilmember Boga?
Council President, I just wanted to say that I think maybe it's your professional background as being a counselor. I admire you over the years, how no matter what turbulence comes, you're like a cork floating on top of the ocean. You're always rising to the top, never getting pulled down by the waves. I think you realize that people are passionate and can act irrational at times, but you see past that and you see the constant issue that addresses us in the city, and you always rise to the occasion. And I've tried to emulate some of those as I do my job here on City Council. And that also extends to compassion for people who need it. One of my most memorable events was you when we attended some county board meeting about the refugees, and we stood there for hours and hours and wait for the vote to come through. But we watched there and watched the county make what I thought was a good decision. But it was good that you and I both went there to give our voices to that discussion. And then going back to your kindness at the beginning, you also give it to people on the council. And a while ago, I had some times where now I'm crying.
Yeah. Well, you're making me cry.
We're some difficult times, and you call me like every day of the week. Yeah. And I really appreciate that, so I'll always remember that.
Yeah. No, I'm crying too. Yes. Council President, I don't know where to start, but I appreciate all of the impact you've had on my leadership. I know you were kind of instrumental actually to my journey to this seat. I met you when you were still my council representative, and I was, excuse me, when I was a waterways commissioner, and so I just really appreciate your leadership and mentorship over the last 3 years. And I appreciate how you've tirelessly defended the city through a lot of the turbulence that my colleagues have already mentioned, but I think the city of Eau Claire is so lucky to have had you for the time you've served on council, and I appreciate all of the late nights and phone calls and check-ins you've done with all of us, and I think we're all better for it, so thank you.
Hello, outgoing Council President Berge. Yeah, I echo what a lot of people said. I've only been here a year, so obviously I don't have the same connection that everyone else has, but it's weird imagining not having you as my president. Sorry, Jeremy. But no, yeah, I just want to echo what Vice President Worthman said. You obviously lead with compassion, which is like one of my values, and I see that in everything you do. And like what you said, Councilmember Serrano, I mean, you called me as soon as I got elected and was like, hey, what do you need? So I appreciate that.
President Berge, yeah, just one of the things that really I've appreciated is just like how much you have like inspired me to like step up when I feel like, I'm needed. We both, were obviously elected at the same time from different districts in 2018, and being able to serve with you for those 6 years was really a great pleasure, and your service of 8 total years has really been amazing to watch, like as a citizen as well as a colleague. And yeah, the way that you step up in your community and the way that you are stepping up again, to run for office later this year, helped me decide that I could do something like what you have been doing the last 3 years, to have the pleasure of serving the city as council president. And so it's really quite an honor to have the opportunity and to have the trust of the community to move forward, and having your leadership has really brought us into a great spot where I feel like the council and the city are ready for to take yet another step. And yeah, just really want to thank you for your service and for inspiring me and so many others to step up and have their voice heard. So thank you.
Well, can I sit down? I don't like standing up there. How y'all do it? I'm gonna take this. Oh, well, just thank you, everyone. Thanks, Andrew. I thought about writing some words down, and then I got busy today, and that didn't happen. But I have been reflecting on my service. I've been busy with other things, so I haven't really had the capacity to really emotionally process what today means, and actually till next Tuesday when President-elect Gregert takes over the seat, not the city. But I have been reflecting, just like we've been through a lot as a city. Like, I was elected in 2018, and then right away we got kicked out of City Hall, and the staff went out to, the west of town, and we had our meetings in the county board room. And then we got back in City Hall, and then the pandemic happened, and then we got kicked back home, and then serving. I really felt like during the pandemic, we were fighting a worldwide pandemic at the local level. And that's amazing. I mean, because what the state legislature gavelled out within a few months, I just felt like there wasn't a lot. It was up to us, to figure it out, and we did. I mean, it was really hard, and it was like we got threats, and it was difficult, and it was really difficult, but we did it, and we got through it. But then, we had the closure of Sacred Heart Hospital, which also, we've been through so much. Again, PFAS in our water in 2020, not like the pandemic was enough. We found PFAS in our water, but even that, we got right to work as a city and stood up and problem solved, and we're transparent with the public through all of this. And then, with Sacred Heart closing, losing St. Joe's up in Chippewa, it's just, the last 8 years have been just remarkable in what we've been through as a city, but we did such a good job, and through it all, we all showed up with kindness and diligence and determination, and we just kept going, because that's what we have to do, is just keep going. And that's why I love local government, because we don't get to shut down. We show up every single day, and unless there's a tornado warning. But anyways, but we show up every single day, and that's, every level of government needs to look at local government to see how it's done. And I really, truly believe that, and I feel honored to be a part of it for the last 8 years. And I'm going to come back and say good things to you all. I'm going to travel. That's what I always say. I was going to travel to all the local governments and just say wonderful things to people serving, because it's a thankless job a lot of times, but it's also so important that people step up. In council or elected bodies, but staff too. You all do amazing work every single day, and I know you get so many complaints, but I see all the good work that everyone is doing, and I'll just say Eau Claire is amazing. We're one of the fastest growing areas in the state, and it's because of you all. Everyone in this room is making that happen, and that's amazing. And so I'm just really proud of us, Eau Claire. So let's sit there. Okay, so now we'll move. We have 2 more proclamations, so we'll do that. Thanks everyone too that's really nice. We'll first let's do National 911 Communicator Week, and then we also have Neurodiagnostic Week, but we'll do that one second. But first we have Chief Jager and your staff, or I don't know who's coming up, but okay, great. Being here.
Thanks for having us.
Shake your hand first. Yeah. Okay, I'll read it out loud and I'll turn it over. So whereas the first 911 call was made on February 16th, 1968, and for more than half a century, 911 has served as the vital link between the public and emergency assistance. And whereas emergencies requiring police, fire, or medical response can happen at any time, and a fast, coordinated response is essential for protecting life and property. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first point of contact in moments of crisis, bringing calm to chaos, guiding callers through emergencies, and in some cases, providing life-saving instructions before first responders arrive. Yeah, goosebumps with that. That's amazing. And whereas the safety and effectiveness of police officers and firefighters depend on the accuracy, clarity, and professionalism of the information gathered and relayed by telecommunicators, and whereas public safety telecommunicators serve as a constant, steady presence monitoring field activities, supporting first responders, and demonstrating compassion, focus, and dedication in every call they answer. Now therefore, I, Emily Berge, President of the Eau Claire City Council, on behalf of the entire City Council, do proclaim April 12th through the 18th, 2026 as National 911 Telecommunicator Week in the City of Eau Claire, and encourage all residents to recognize, appreciate, and thank these dedicated professionals for their essential role in keeping our communities safe. So thank you again. Thank you. Thanks for all your work.
Thank you, President Berge and council members. It's a hard act to follow. You know, speaking of 8 years of dedicated service and leadership to our community, 911 as a whole nationwide has only been around for 58 years. And as a young profession, it started with receiving phone calls and now has evolved into receiving text messages, other communication with social media, other communication with people live streaming and being able to send their pictures. There's a lot of different advancements that continue to require our profession to adapt, to be able to have the technology, the equipment, be able to have the training and the expertise that our personnel need in order to be successful, to give the best opportunity for our community members to get the help that they need in the greatest moments and crises of their life. When we go through the different things of training our new people, I'm always honored and humbled as their manager to be able to help them to encounter the way that they are going to personally make an impact, much like our president makes an impact for the entire city. Every day there's 911 calls coming into our community that make an impact in the lives of tens, hundreds, and thousands of our community members. And it's because of the great support of the City Council that provides us the funding and the support that's necessary to continue this work. And so thank you on behalf of the men and women that are right now answering those phone calls for the things that you do to provide that for us and for our city.
Thank you. And then Nicole. This is for Neurodiagnostic Week. So welcome, Nicole. So I'll read it and then I'll hand it over to you. So whereas neurodiagnostics is the practice of testing and monitoring how the brain and nervous system are working, helping doctors better understand and care for people facing neurological conditions. And whereas neurodiagnostic technologists play a critical role in the diagnosis and treatment of a variety of neurological conditions, including epilepsy, unexplained coma, sleep disorders, and spinal cord injuries. And whereas these dedicated professionals are present during complex and high-risk surgeries such as brain tumors and spine trauma, carefully monitoring the nervous system in real time to help protect patients and reduce the risk of complications such as stroke or paralysis. And whereas neurodiagnostic technologists bring both skill and compassion to their work, balancing advanced technology with a deep commitment to supporting patients and families during some of life's most uncertain and difficult moments, treating each patient with dignity, respect, and humanity. And whereas neurodiagnostic technologists are engaged in lifelong learning, dedicated to a life of service and compassion, have the greatest respect for the worth and dignity of individuals, and are devoted to the best interests of the patient while providing the highest quality of care. Now therefore, I, Emily Berge, President of the Eau Claire City Council, on behalf of the entire City Council and the residents of Eau Claire, do recognize the week of April 19th to the 25th, 2026 as Neurodiagnostic Week, and encourage all residents to recognize and appreciate the expertise, care, and compassion these professionals bring to our community each day. So thank you.
On behalf of the neurodiagnostics field, I would like to thank the City Council, President Berge, and for this opportunity for Neurodiagnostics Week to be recognized. I don't know how many in this group even know what neurodiagnostics is.
Well, now we do.
And now you do, of course, right? You hear about x-rays and you hear about nursing staff and this and that and the other thing, but not a lot of people know what we do in the neurodiagnostics field. So thank you for that opportunity. Neurodiagnostic technologists in the Eau Claire area support thousands of patients each year by helping diagnose and monitor neurological conditions such as epilepsy, stroke, disorders that affect individuals and their families across the region. We do this by performing the EEGs, EMGs, sleep studies. We go into the operating room monitoring different cases. We have an epilepsy monitoring unit that we admit patients to. To put into importance of this work, more than 100,000 people in the state of Wisconsin are living with epilepsy, and 1 in 10 people will experience a seizure at some point in their life. Here in Eau Claire County, it is estimated that 1 in 10 patients will need a neurodiagnostic procedure each year. As a neurological disease becomes more prevalent, our population continues, and the population continues to age. The demand for these procedures and these professionals remain high. Although that our department is small locally, the impact of our work is significant. We are proud to serve this community and are grateful for the City of Eau Claire's support in recognizing neurodiagnostics. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now on to our consent agenda. We never did our consent agenda, did we? Okay, I mixed things up. All right. So first item is our consent agenda. So, and some of you, I think, are here for our consent agenda. So just know that unless an item is pulled out, your item is pulled out, all items will pass with or fail with 1 vote. So once we pass the consent agenda, you're good to go to leave unless you want to stay, and of course, you're welcome to stay. So with that, do council members have questions regarding the consent agenda or wish to remove any items for separate consideration? Okay. Seeing none, then a motion by Councilmember Otto, second by Councilmember Serrano. The consent agenda is moved. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Berge.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Imboga.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Otto.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Schoen.
Aye.
Serrano.
Aye.
Worthman.
Great, the consent agenda is passed unanimously. Now we're going on to our business agenda.
Council President,
Yes, Vice President Worthman.
if I could ask a point of procedure, which is, maybe I misheard, but was there an opportunity for public comment that was going to be added to tonight's meeting because we didn't have one last night, or was there no need for that? I just wanted to double check and get clarity on
I
that.
don't, City Manager Hirsch, I guess it's not noticed though.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we moved all of those items to the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
So if anyone is here to give public comment, feel free to email us, or I'm sure the cards are still, or maybe not in the back. Are the blue cards in the back, or? Okay, if anyone, yes. So I don't know if anyone's here for that, but we can put the blue cards in the back or email us. Otherwise, yeah, sorry about that mix-up. Okay. Let's see, City Council vacancy is our first agenda item on the business agenda. And we had to cancel our meeting last night, so we weren't able to interview the candidates last night. And we tried to get them to come today, but one of them was not available to come today. So that is still TBD. City Manager Hirsch, do you have an update?
With the city attorney's permission, I think we could decide right now on the scheduling. Is that correct?
Certainly, the item's before you, and you all will have to make a decision on when you postpone it to. So basically, whenever you postpone it
Oh,
to, it will be your meeting. So I understand you were trying to decide if you could work in a special meeting, and
Yeah.
if you can, that's great. That's what you'd identify. Otherwise, obviously, you'd set it to your next available meeting, which is your second in April.
So
Okay.
I think I can summarize the options. One of the candidates is not available in person until right before the organizational meeting on Tuesday. So one option would be to have and the components are the candidate presentation questions, which are preset list of questions and comments from the public on the candidates. And then you all deliberate and select a person. So it's a kind of a significant effort. So one option is to start the organizational meeting at 3 p.m. on Tuesday, go through all of that, select your person, and then move into the organizational meeting. It might push back the end of the organizational meeting, and after the organizational meeting is the celebration for boards, commissions, and committees. Another option is to ask the candidates to record all of the answers, and then we can post them on the website, and then we could still have public comment on next Monday and council deliberation and selection. And an additional option is to move all of it to the second meeting in April. So then that person would not be sworn in at the organizational meeting, but you could set aside seats for them in different boards, commissions, and committees. And it's a little tricky because it is a kind of a transition period. So it's really up to you guys what your preference is.
Okay. Councilmember Serrano?
Thank you, Council President Berge. If it's up for discussion, I move that we go with the second option, which is the pre-recorded. It sounds like the candidates are going to make a presentation and then answer pre-selected questions, so maybe that doesn't require it to be live. So to get those recordings, and then we would be able to deliberate without necessarily them being present in person. So that seems to me to be the most workable.
So then there would still be public comment
And then,
on
yes.
Monday on the candidates.
Right.
Next.
Public comment and then deliberation on Monday doesn't necessarily require, because we're not going to have any real interaction with the candidates. They're just going to be answering pre-selected questions. So that would be my motion, I guess. Is it a motion?
I think so. Idea. So then it'd be next Monday. So if they do that, then next Monday would be when the public comment is and the vote.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I'll second that.
Point of order, I think we're still in the discussion, hasn't been moved yet. Well, but she made well, it was presented, and then I don't think we've moved to.
Oh, yeah, we're in the questions. Yeah, still.
Yeah,
So,
we're just in the question right now still.
So staff presented on it, yes. So we're still in the question, we'll do, yeah, so any questions? We'll do with questions before, clarifying questions?
I have a question.
Well, Councilmember Brewster, do you have a question?
I was just gonna say, my preference would be to wait until the second set of meetings in April. I think meeting someone, face to face is always superior to a video chat. And quite frankly, people coming in, like the rookies are not usually the ones that end up with the super choice committee assignments anyway. So we're all reasonable people. We can leave some things open. I just don't think it's something that needs to be rushed, and I would rather interview the people in person.
Okay. Councilmember Boga?
I think it was
You have a Councilmember Schoen?
Sean first.
I would say my preference is also what Councilmember Brewster said. I'd prefer to have candidates in person if we can, so pushing to the second set of meetings. But I did have a question. That second proposal where it would be virtual, are you saying, when we keep saying Monday, are you talking about the 27th or the 20th?
I'm talking about the 20th.
Okay, so immediately next Monday. Okay.
And I'm sorry, I should have said too, there is a scenario of having a fully virtual meeting, and then the candidate who's out of town could attend and participate, but it is a little risky because if something goes wrong for anybody, then we would have to think about how to reschedule again, and whether or not that creates, makes it unfair for whoever gets bumped off because of some internet issue.
Okay. I just want to make sure, City Attorney Nick, do we need to move it first, or are we following appropriate procedure? Or should we stick to questions and then move it?
That is an issue in the discretion of the chair, which
Okay.
is still yours to occupy, right? So what you try to do is allow the board, the body, to have a sufficient discussion that you kind of can indicate some consensus, as opposed to accepting a motion too early in the process where you really haven't had that discussion yet. So,
Okay.
sounds like you're still discussing. Well, I've got the mic on. I think the other thing just to keep in mind with any virtual options, it's one thing to have, anyway, you have a virtual meeting policy that, that strongly encourages in-person attendance. It does allow other options, but they're the rare exception versus your norm.
Okay. All right, we'll keep, so, I don't know who is, Councilmember Boga?
Thank you, Council President. I agree with the Council Priest and Council Sean that in person would be the best option. I think this is the job which require the citizen to listen, us to hear them, and make a very concrete decision. So I really, if you are applying for any job, I think you can leave whatever you are doing. So public service, you have to put the committee first, then yourself. So if you're applying for this job, you have to leave everything, come here and present yourself. Why you are running, or why do you want this job? That's the way I look at it.
Okay. Councilmember Miller?
Thank you, Council President. I'd be in favor of the candidate submitting a recording of the presentation, answering the questions. Like presidential debates, most of that really doesn't do much for me. I think that your in-person presentation is the least important thing. I think the qualifications and experiences that are listed on the resumes and just their background is far more superior to how they can stand here in front of us and talk to us in person at one time. So I don't weigh too much on that one. Also, by having on Monday, we can have them at the organizational meeting, so we'll be here. And I think it's important for somebody that was going to be on council for 1 year to have a say into which committees are on. That can really change how their experience for this 1 year is. If we wait until afterwards, they're going to be shut out and have to just rely on us leaving them things they might want to be on. And then it happens sooner too. So I'd be in favor of having a meeting Monday in which they can present virtually. Also, if we can only ask a set number of questions, it's not going to matter if we ask them in person or virtually ahead of time. So all those reasons make me want to have this on the 20th, have them in place for the organizational meeting.
Okay. Councilmember Reed?
Yeah, I prefer having them come in person, but I also prefer having them have their ability to advocate for what committees they want to be on. So for that reason, I guess, I don't know. Did we talk? Is it possible for having them both on Monday next week, or is that the virtual option we're talking about?
Be virtual, because one's out of town
Okay. Well, then
Yes.
I guess I'm.
till Tuesday.
Yeah, that's tough. I guess I'm in support of that then. I don't want to rush it through, but I also want to give them an opportunity to advocate for their own committees.
So you're in support of them being in the organizational, to do the recorded interviews and then be at the organizational meeting? Is that what you said? Okay. Councilmember Otto?
Oh, thank you, Council President Berge. If we were in a big rush, I would be all right with virtual, but it sounds like this isn't an urgent issue, and I'm wondering, so I support the in-person option, but I do wonder if we could have the candidates advocate for which committees they are interested in, just so we have a sense, even if they haven't been selected yet. But I support the in-person option.
Okay. Oh, well, I won't be around. I have so next Monday. I thought I was going to be done today, so yeah. So I unfortunately have to be somewhere else next Monday and next Tuesday. So I won't be able to vote, even though I would be able to vote. I can't be here. So I don't know if that makes a difference for anyone. So I could go either way. I do see the value in the organizational meeting for them to be there, but also in person too. So I think, while I think about it, so someone should make a motion then, and we'll vote on that, I think. And if it fails, then we'll move on to another motion. So I guess you did make a motion, Councilmember Serrano. Okay.
I can repeat it if it's helpful. Yeah, I move that we invite the candidates to make a recorded message answer all of the pre-selected questions. And then we meet on Monday. I'm quite flexible on the time, but meet Monday to have public comment and also to then deliberate and make our selection in time for the candidate, the person we select to attend the organizational meeting.
Okay. Councilmember Miller?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to do, have them record their questions online and then meet next Monday at a time TBD for public comment and then to vote. And then whoever is appointed Monday would come to the organizational meeting and be part of the appointment process along when council or incoming president is also sworn in. Okay, any discussion specific on that motion? Councilmember Miller?
Thank you. I was just going to add that my first year on council, I didn't handle the appointments process very well, and I got kind of crumbs for committee assignments, and that kind of didn't sour it, but I kind of felt like left out, and I wasn't on the thing I want to be on. While they could indicate what they want to be on, if you're not here live at the meeting, you don't really get to get what you really want. So, and then also I think the camaraderie of having them here for the actual swearing in on Tuesday with everybody else would really, and they're going to be here for a 1 year position, so try to make it the best one we can. So I think it's better if we do it on Monday, have them come in on Tuesday.
Okay. Councilmember Mboga?
Thank you. I want to ask the mover a question. Can I do that?
Yes, yeah.
So, Clara, what about those two candidates who are available? Can they come on Monday and present themselves?
City Manager Hirsch has an answer to your question.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we thought about doing something like that, and Deputy City Attorney Stromberger said that would not be a fair, they would not have a fair shake or fair treatment.
So I have a question then.
Councilmember Brewster?
So to me, that indicates that being in person is obviously superior to recording something. If it's not fair, if somebody records it, having other people be here. Actually, that was a rhetorical question.
Councilmember Miller?
Thank you, Council President. To answer a rhetorical question, I think it's they all have to do it the same way, either all one or the other. You can't have it split up. I think that's the problem at hand.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, so we'll vote now. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Brewster.
No.
Imboga.
No.
Miller.
Aye.
Otto.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Schoen.
No.
Serrano.
Aye.
Worthman.
Aye.
Berge.
Aye. So that passes 6-3. Okay. Oh, can you pull up this for me so I can read it, please?
I don't have that, but I have a question.
Oh, okay, Councilmember, or Vice President Worthman?
Just about how will the questions be selected, and are we able to send those questions to you, or? what
Yeah,
will
Clerk
happen?
Kerner has, you want to answer? Can you able to answer that? Oh, so,
I sent out draft questions, and the
okay.
council president, Berge, revised them a bit, but I will circulate them again and see if there's more revisions. That sound okay?
Thank you. Yeah.
do you have it?
Um, Can we pick a time also?
Oh, sure. Okay, let's start with 6. Does that work for people?
On Monday.
On Monday?
What about 5?
Let's start, does 5 o'clock work for people?
Yes.
No, it doesn't work. 5:30. 6 is better. Can you do 6?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There'll only be 8 of you, right? Oh, Charlie could be there.
I can do it.
So 6 sounds like most can make it 6.
And I know
Okay.
Charlie will be done with his internship by then, because it's a tax-related internship.
Hopefully it'll be a quick meeting. Okay, now we'll move on to item number 16, a resolution approving appointments and reappointments of boards, committees, and commissions. And I have this one too. So we met a couple weeks ago, the appointments, me and Councilmember Brewster. So we have Police and Fire and Transit Commission. Okay. Thank you. The Appointments Commission recommended Colleen Sheehan for the Police and Fire Commission, and then we also recommended Alyssa Hedenstrom for the Transit Commission. Any questions on these appointments? Okay. Seeing, yeah, Councilmember Brewster?
Could I just add something real
Sure,
quick?
you sure can.
So the one thing that might be a little unusual is by request from UW Eau Claire, we broadened the possibility of membership on the Transit Commission, so it's not necessarily just a student anymore, because the students cycle through really fast, and so we opened it up to student, staff, or faculty at the request of the university and student government. So I just wanted to let you know that that was a thing that was done. And my recollection is that the person that we selected for the Transit Commission is in fact staff.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure
Okay.
she is.
President Worthman, did you have a? Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, we will, so a motion made by Councilmember Brewster, second by Councilmember Boga. This item is moved. Any discussion? Okay. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Mboga.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Otto.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Schoen.
Aye.
Serrano.
Aye.
Worthman. Berge.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Okay, next up, quick claims. A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a quick claim bill of sale with Union Pacific Railroad related to the wooden Eddy Street structure. Director Ness.
Good afternoon, Council.
Good afternoon.
The resolution before you would allow the city manager to enter into a quitclaim bill of sale with Union Pacific Railroad related to the Eddy Street Bridge. A little history on that. In May of '25, we shut the bridge down due to needed repairs that were completed by UP to the structure. We have reopened the bridge since. We have had to reduce the load restriction on the bridge to 5 ton. This is a bridge located near McDonough Park and Mount Simon Park. It's one of 2 access points to the neighborhood, the residential neighborhood, and the park area in this location. So a significant access to the neighborhood. This quitclaim would transfer ownership of the structure to the city of Eau Claire. This is one step in moving forward with the grant application that we had submitted in October of '25 through WISTAT's local bridge program. And that program would allocate up to 80% of the rebuilding of this structure funds towards the city, and the city would have to match the 20%. Within discussions with the UP, they have agreed that future negotiations of payment related to that 20% is something that we can discuss, but at this time, the quitclaim is between the city and UP just for the transfer of the structure. I can take questions if there are any.
I don't see any questions, so.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, just kidding. Councilmember Miller?
You're correct for a moment.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, thank you, Director Ness. Can you just quickly define quick claim, since we're have this? What is a quick? Is like just a quick way to transfer one property from a party to another party, or city attorney?
I'll defer to
Well,
city attorney Nick.
He turned his microphone.
Yeah, if I can, and a legal question, I mean, the quitclaim deed just means that it's a transfer without warranty, so they're transferring it as is. If it has other defects in title, they're not going to warrant those. They're things that the city takes on then.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's the other question. So thank you, Director Ness. Okay. By motion made by Vice President Worthman, second by Councilmember Miller, this item is moved. Any discussion? Okay, see none. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Schoen,
Aye.
Serrano,
Aye.
Worthman, Bergy,
Aye.
Brewster,
Aye.
and Boga.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Next, disallowing excessive tax claims. A resolution disallowing the excessive tax claim of Marshfield Clinic. We have Ms. Dutton. Hi, welcome.
Hello, thank you. I'm Jasmine Dutton. I'm the risk manager here for the City of Eau Claire. And we're bringing forward a request to formally disallow. Is it just Marshfield, or can we do them together? Steve?
There's two different motions, so I think you can present once if you have any questions. They're functionally the same types of claims, but we'll ask that you vote on each resolution.
Yep, so you can present on both.
Okay, thank you. So we're moving forward to formally ask you to disallow the Mayo and Marshfield claims for alleged unlawful tax assessments. Mayo and Marshfield repeatedly file these claims. They're refund claims and are a continuation of previous litigation. Mayo has been filing these claims since 2023 and Marshfield since 2022. They have failed to meet its burden to demonstrate that all of its property is owned and is used exclusively for a nonprofit hospital, and that's entitled to exempt from property taxes. These properties have been properly and lawfully assessed by the city. The city is defending that the claims to ensure that the property tax burdens are distributed lawfully and fairly amount in assessable properties. So I'm asking for the resolution to disallow the excessive tax claims of Mayo and Marshfield claims. And I can answer any questions that you have.
Councilmember Brewster?
Thank you, Council President. If they've been doing this for a while, are is that litigation still ongoing, or have some of those been settled?
These are still ongoing, yes. So every year they can file a new claim, and then, so as they stay open, sometimes we're allowed to combine them, but each year as they file a new claim, this one is for the 2025 claims that we're asking to disallow. It shortens the time frame for them to file a suit.
Mm-hmm. And, well, so if you could, I think we went through this last year. And just for clarification, so basically, if we do this and we fight it and we lose, then that money basically comes out of the general fund, right? Because we can't reapportion all of the revenues after the fact. Is that accurate?
City Attorney Nick.
Thank you, yes. So a couple things. One, both claims are still in litigation, so discussion of, the merits is and/or the effects of any refunds probably for another day in closed session largely. But state law gives us the privilege and responsibility of assessing most properties, and also then kind of the obligation of dealing with the consequences. So on your point, while we firmly believe that the assessment has been made lawfully and that the burden on property owners to prove exemption has not been met, should a court determine otherwise, and that goes through all the available appeals and stands, it is city's obligation, it would be City of Eau Claire's obligation to make repayment for those years. There is a statutory process, however, to sort of reapportion or charge back that to the other taxing entities, because even though this obligation falls on cities, we're a minority percentage of the overall tax bill. So it's possible that it gets reapportioned to, in part to the county and the school district and the technical college, but that would be a process we'd have to pursue if and when we're ordered to make any reimbursement for taxes already collected.
One also, please.
Yes.
So if I could, actually, this is probably a continuation of what City Attorney Nick was was talking about too. So our options are to do this, fight it, probably win, maybe lose, or not do this, and then we'll just, if we don't do this, we're basically agreeing with their contesting that, or no?
No, that's not accurate. And maybe I didn't describe it correctly. So this is to ask to disallow the claims. So this shortens the time frame for them to file a suit. If we didn't disallow it here formally, after 120 days, it statutorily disallows. We're just shortening the time frame because we have other standing litigation still going on. So it shortens the time frame for them to file the suit so we can hopefully wrap them all up together.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. A motion made by Councilmember Schoen, second by Councilmember Reed. This item is moved. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, City Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, and we're just doing, sorry, Marshfield first. We're voting on Marshfield, just so we know what we're voting on. Okay, City Clerk.
Councilmember Otto.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Schoen.
Aye.
Serrano.
Aye.
Worthman. Aye. Berge.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Imboga.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. And we'll move on to the resolution disallowing the excessive tax claim of Mayo Clinic Health System. Hopefully, I don't see, probably does anyone have any questions on this? I don't see it. Okay, then we'll move it. So by motion made by Councilmember Otto, second by Councilmember Serrano, this item is moved. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Schoen.
Aye.
Serrano.
Aye.
Worthman. Aye. Berge.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Imboga.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Otto.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Next, we have the 2026 capital budget amendment. It's a resolution amending the 2026 capital improvement project budget for the Regional Public Safety Training Facility. And this does require a 2/3 vote of elected members or 8 affirmative votes. And how many? So is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Okay, so 8 out of the 9. Okay. Director Winters?
Good evening, President Berge,
Good evening.
Council. Here tonight with one budget amendment. Corey, I'll let you try it. Not working. So I'm here with one budget amendment this evening. It's for the Regional Public Safety Training Facility. You'll recall in 2025, we approved $150,000 to start the planning and feasibility for this and do a DNR study because this is on the former landfill site. We got the go-ahead from the DNR, so we've started the planning phases of this. In 2026, you approved $5.15 million for this community investment. As you recall, I've got some pictures on the next 2 slides. It was constructed in 1970s of repurposed materials. Currently, it does not have a potable water supply, meaning that there is no drinkable water. Primitive bathroom facilities. We do use outhouses for our staff. The drain field or the septic for gray water is broken and cannot be repaired. We have HVAC issues, lack of connectivity, rodents and infestations, and it no longer meets the current needs or demands of our police department. So that's why the project has made it into the capital improvement plan. The facility will provide a permanent training location for less lethal use of force and de-escalation training. And those do help contribute to lower those insurance claims. In addition to crisis communications, that's all community priorities and new standards since this was constructed in the 1970s. And again, all 3 are top priorities that are additional training that we need to provide. Scenario-based training, more recently, we do not have a location for this. You'll remember our police department goes to the schools and they do trainings on the ALICE trainings, but we don't have a good location unless somebody volunteers, maybe an abandoned or condemned facility for them to go in and run scenarios, which isn't safe for our police department, and those are few and far in between. In addition, vehicle operations, you'll remember there's the driving track. We would be able to use that for CDL training for the transit, in addition to potentially fire department and the police department. Traffic contacts, firearms, use of force. Also, a regional provider relationship is being sought to hopefully welcome some of the other municipalities to be able to provide training there, in addition to our 105 sworn police officers. The construction costs, we're all familiar with those. The most material CPI categories remain inflated, so they're 25 to 40% inflated over 2019. Along with those supply costs, we do have a labor shortage that's contributing to that. We have a 165% increase over 2020. So we did bid out a portion of this project. Those costs were 165% lower. It's about 229 per square foot back in 2020, and in 2026 we are at 608. So with all the proposals and the designs within the CIP, what we would have liked to do, we definitely scaled that back, or the committee has scaled that back to just focusing on those areas to have a place for scenario-based training, the vehicle operations, having an area for all 105 officers or the portion of them that would be at the training, and then the crisis communications area. So that project's been scaled back. We talked about storage, we talked about a backup comm center, but that price came in upwards north of $20 million. So, so we've really sharpened the pencil on that, and the estimated project cost is now down to $8.35 million. So it's been scaled to the minimally necessary components to be successful. So now for the good news. We're seeking tonight a budget amendment, but we've gotten some amazing support, potential support for CDS funding, or congressionally directed spending. So I'm very excited about that. How that process works is we submit annually some of our larger scale projects to our legislators. We need their support to submit the project on for federal approval. Congressman Van Orden has accepted that project, approved it, and submitted it on. Now it needs to go through the federal process. So he's supporting publicly our project for submission. In addition, Senator Baldwin's office is also committed to submitting that forward. We did send in a request of $3.2 million each, so we're very optimistic. There's no guarantee on that, but they did publicly pledge that support. So we have what they've stated as a common sense project, and they like to see the full project supported within the CIP. So at the same time all the CDS funding approvals were going on, we got the bid in for the RFP for the project. So I wanted to bring the whole presentation back to you so you could approve that, and we can show that we're standing behind that price, and that amendment would go forward to them. And the project would go forward either way, with or without the CDS funding. So with that, I think I've given you the fiscal explanation, but Chief Rokas and I are here to answer any fiscal or operational questions that you may have.
Okay, Councilmember Serrano?
Thank you, Council President Berge, and thank you, Director Winters. I'm interested in the storage needs also. Seems like that was taken out, but to what degree does this plan allow for maybe a possible expansion, as a subsequent project for the evidence storage needs?
Sure. The cost of that, with the construction costs, would have to be at least under $1 million. That was quoted a little bit higher. We would have the ability to address items like the shooting range or the training facility kind of as a connected or add-on project, but it wouldn't be addressed in here. And I think the costs came in too high, and we did not want to present you with a $20 million project, but that is an option that you could tell me to add those on this evening as well.
But I'm just trying to understand if the scaling down allows us to do we have a modular enough plan that we can then add on storage
Yes.
later?
Yes, we did. We
Feasibly.
did discuss that with
Okay.
the one that's proposed, yeah.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brewster?
That was literally my entire line of questioning.
Oh, perfect. Councilmember Boga?
Thank you, Council President. Mine is to ask the experts, the chief.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Hi, Chief Rokas.
Oh, thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief, for being here. My question is, I have two questions. One is, what if the city council voted down? What would be the effect, or what would be the negative impact for this building? And why do we need it? So those are my two questions. Why the negative one and the positive ones?
Sure. Thank you. I think Director Winters kind of framed it really well as far as kind of the current total project that's in front of council today is what I would describe as the minimally successful project for us. So when the firearms or training facility was constructed in the 1970s, police training was really focused on firearms proficiency. And obviously community expectations and our expectations have evolved quite a bit since then as far as the different competencies that we expect and need from our police officers. So if there was a scaling back where if the budget amendment wasn't approved today, we would be kind of back to what would be a classroom or a range house for our officers just for the training. You guys saw the photos of the bathroom and the classroom space and kind of what that is. We'd be limited to just an outdoor firearms training course or training facility. That's probably about 25% of what our police training consists of. We have, as was mentioned earlier, we have emergency vehicle operations, but we also have our other training that we provide, and we prioritize in those soft skills, our crisis communication skills, our de-escalation, crisis intervention training. We do that through live scenario-based training exercises where we have live action role players where we set up scenarios and where we're able to teach those communication skills, those de-escalation strategies, the application of less than lethal force options as well. And so it would probably end up being moving forward with the project. You see that kind of that wing on the left there being carved off and then kind of waiting for the congressional funding to come through, and then we would revisit it later, likely at further increased costs and then delays in the further delays in the project as well. So that area on the left, that's nothing more complex than a large room that would have portable temporary walls that are able to be moved around, and then you can set up different rooms or different spaces for those different training scenarios, which can be for our police officers, our firefighters, and our other first responders as well. And so that's what that space provides. Currently, we do that, as mentioned by Director Winters, and when we can find space that is kind of donated for our temporary use. We used the Mount Washington home for a while until we couldn't go there anymore because of mold and asbestos issues. We used the State Theater for a while, and then that became flooded, and then we could no longer be there. We were using some excess HUD housing through the Housing Authority, and then we learned that it wasn't allowable per federal guidelines, and so we've had to kind of bounce around and not be able to do those things to our full extent, and having had to kind of fall back on some of these other areas rather than doing that. So it would cause some delays in the full project. When I say full project, it's the scaled down $8 million version, not the $28 million best case scenario that was originally put in, and do less of that. In 2021 is when we first prioritized and incorporating these new types and methods of training into our department. They have been successful, as Director Winters said. It reduces liability and claims against the city. As a department, since we've done that, began that in 2021, we've had a 35% reduction in use of force instances of our police officers in the community. So it has been successful for us as a community. It's made it safer for the general public overall, and it makes it safer for our police officers as well. And so you'd have to answer your question, the short version, it would be a delay in the project and a minimization, it would minimize kind of how our officers are able to train and then have an impact on the services we're able to deliver into the community.
Great.
Any other questions from you while I'm here.
Councilmember Miller, do you?
Mine for Director Winters if somebody else has a
Okay.
question for Chief Rokas.
You have one for Chief Rokas? Okay. Councilmember Brewster?
Thank you, Council President. Chief Rokas, I believe we had a discussion maybe a year and a half ago about the storage situation and how that's something that, is an ongoing expense. Is there a way that could be, added on without, the whole thing? And then my other question is, I'm not seeing like the driving practice course, is that still part of this?
Not part of the project that's in front of you right now. That was part of when the CIP was adopted as the first project. That was something that we wanted to include in the project. That was about $5.5 million. And so when we had to kind of scale the project back down to kind of meet within the budget, that was scaled back. But it is something that we still are going to continue working on. It does benefit police, fire, transit, community services. It can be a regional benefit as well. There is federal transit funding available for that. And those grant opportunities closed, I think, in March of this year, kind of before we kind of realized where we're at with the project. So our intention is to apply for further grant funding next year to incorporate the driving components to the regional facility that will serve all of our kind of public safety components that we have as a city. So, and then I just echo what Kitsy said as far as the offsite evidence storage needs that we have. I think there's a modular way to do it, and I also think that we can fit it in the project overall as well, if approved today.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Miller? Wait for Director
I had a
Winters?
question for Director Winters.
Okay, thanks,
Okay.
Chief
Thank you, Chief
Rokas.
Rokas. Thank you, Director Winters. I think you said this earlier in your presentation that the parties that will be providing this, the CDS funding have publicly stated the support for it, so it's pretty much assured, I'm hoping. But if not, doing the due diligence looking into this, so the city will have to issue promissory notes for this. It looks at about $3.2 million, so our capital budget go from $48 to $51 million in those. Would there be any negative effects on our credit score rating for the city if we had to issue another $3 million for these promissory notes, which probably won't happen, but just, to ask you the question.
Sure. We're not at the point where that dollar amount would negatively impact our credit score. I always look for unused project funds within our past 3 years as well. So the items I'm closing, sometimes we visibly round the items in the CIP, so to speak. So sometimes I have $500,000 left, sometimes I might have 10, but I will offset with that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
No, Mr. Lee, okay. Councilmember Brewster?
Thank you, Council President. Did you have a number in mind of what it would take to get the on-site evidence storage included in this?
Sure, I just messaged Kelly Thompson to see what that specific amount was. I know around $1 million, but do you recall, Chief, what, I know we pay annually around $25,000 a year to store that, with a lease, with a private, Westgate it would be. So I don't know what the quote come in at specifically for that.
The biggest need would be what we would call cold storage, and so that is for like vehicles that we need to store. And so the architect quoted $1.1 million. We need nothing more than a large unheated pole shed. All right, that's the practical reality. I went on my Menards app and I looked up a 60 by 80 pole shed kit, and they're about $80,000. And so there is bandwidth in there. We have our architectural bid that later on in the process, as it moves along, it'll go to an actual construction bid that council will have to approve before that bid's accepted. There'll be some more water to go over the dam with that, and we'll be able to get that number in a more squared away practical place. So it has to be secure, it does not need heat, and it does not need electricity. We just need a place that's safe and secure to hold those vehicles for evidence storage that will withstand court scrutiny as far as integrity of the evidence. And it does take a large space to do. We have quite a few vehicles that we have to hold on to for a number of years as the court process goes forward. But I think that first architectural bid is quite high.
And I guess fiscally to answer that too, if you rounded that up to 9 million, I don't know, Chief, if that was something that you think you could work with? From 8.3 to 9 conservatively, then we can, if that's something you'd want to include, I guess that would be my financial recommendation. You could amend the resolution before you. That makes sense.
To round up. Okay. Thanks, thank you, Director Winters. I don't see other questions, so thank you, Chief Rokas. Okay, so we'll make a motion. So a motion made by Councilmember Brewster, second by Councilmember Mboga. This item is moved. Any discussion? Councilmember, oh my gosh. Councilmember Mboga?
Yeah, I think I would, for me, I would support it. I think for safety purpose, we need to equip our law enforcement with all technologies they need. So I really, and I really thank our police chief Lucas for his exceptional leadership, and that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Schoen.
Aye.
Serrano.
Aye.
Worthman. Berkey.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Mboga.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Otto.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Okay, next is City Manager Agreement, and I believe that we will be postponing this item, but I would need a motion, I guess, to postpone. So
I will like to move to postpone this item to the second Tuesday meeting in April. April the 29th, I guess.
So the second or the first?
28th, sorry.
So in a month? 2 weeks, that's 2 weeks? Oh, yeah,
weeks.
April, you're right.
28th.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay,
April 28th.
April 28th. You want to second that, Councilmember Miller?
Yes, I would second that. Also add the matching Monday night discussion that we had already scheduled for last night.
Okay. Okay.
It's fine with me.
So Monday night, public hearing. Then, oh, sorry. Yeah, I think that's already, I don't think that's part of this, though, the closed session, or, right, City Attorney Nick?
It's related to it, but it doesn't need to be in the motion. It will, but
It's gonna, yeah,
fine.
that will be happening
think-
Monday night, yeah. I talked to the HR director. Okay, so for the second, so April 20, what was it? 8th,
April 28th. April 28th.
April 28th. Okay, any questions? All right,
Yeah.
you have a question, Councilmember Mboga?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, for those people, I think we had some emails here and there about this one. So for a community, can you guys tell the community why you guys postponing to April 28th? Can you please tell them?
Oh, sure. So we're postponing, so last night there was supposed to be a closed session on the contract agreement with the city manager, but when the meeting was canceled, that means the closed session was canceled Monday night. And so everything got bumped to now in 2 weeks. So we need the closed session before, or you all will need the closed session before doing the employment agreement of the city manager to work out the terms of the contract. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you for that reminder. Okay. All right, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Serrano.
Aye.
Worthman.
Aye.
Berkey.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Mboga.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Otto.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Schoen.
Aye.
And that item is postponed until Tuesday, April 28th. We'll have a closed session. You all have closed session the Monday night before. The ordinances for action. So Title 17 Land Development Official Zoning Map and Title 19 Stormwater. So ordinance amending specific sections of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Eau Claire, Title 17 Land Development Official Zoning Map and Title 19 Stormwater. Manager Noel, I think we were postponing, but
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
President Berge and council members. Yeah, that is correct. This requires a public hearing, and because yesterday was canceled, you have to move this to April 27th for that Monday for the public hearing, because there's a zoning ordinance change. The Planning Commission did meet, recommended approval, but you have to hold a public hearing, so it's delayed.
okay, thank you. And it's the same for the heavy vehicle parking?
No, you did hold a public hearing at your last meeting.
Okay, so we're going to take that up. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we will first, let's see. So we'll need a postponement. Or do we need to move it? Yes. So by a motion made by Council Vice President Worthman, second by Councilmember Miller, this item is moved. Councilmember Brewster?
I'd like to move to postpone this item until our April 28th meeting.
Okay, with a public hearing on the 27th. Yep.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions on that? All right. Councilmember Serrano?
Yeah, I didn't understand. Are we postponing this ordinance, the vote for this ordinance till the Tuesday meeting, or public hearing for the Monday, or both?
Both, yep. So the public hearing on April 27th, and then legislative session, we'll vote, you all will vote on it on April 28th, the legislative
So
session.
the motion is for both of those?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks for that clarifying question. Clarifying. Yes, she's good with those. All right, city clerk.
I will second that.
Oh, we haven't seconded, okay. So now we have a motion and a second for the public hearing on the 27th and to vote on it the 28th. Any discussion? Okay, city clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Worthman.
Aye.
Berge.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Imboga.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Otto.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Schoen.
Aye.
Serrano.
Aye.
Okay, that passes, that postponement passes unanimously. Next, we have a heavy vehicle parking. This is ordinance amending Title 10.24 Vehicle and Traffic and Title 17.03 Land Development Ordinance for heavy vehicle parking weights and conditional uses in residential zones. Manager Noel.
Okay. This item was reviewed by the Plan Commission at their last meeting. They recommended approval of the new definition for heavy vehicles to modernize that, and they split the vote out so that the proposed legislation for the conditional use permit was considered as well. They voted 6-3 in favor of that to allow these heavy vehicles to be allowed by a conditional use permit in certain circumstances as long as the conditions were approved. So that's the high level of the ordinance changes. And this is the current ordinance right now, updating the 6,000 pounds to 10,000, which is in line with the light duty classification with the Federal Highway Administration. Also with registration for license plates as an X designation, so that for enforcement, they can go out and see that X on the license plate and know that they're actually meeting that ordinance. And we did add anything over 21 feet in length would also be, if it's used for commercial purposes, would be part of this definition. So the Plan Commission, again, thought that that worked well. This also models the City of Madison, Oshkosh's, Green Bay's ordinances. So after some research that we were told to do based off of what the Plan Commission wanted, some extra research. So again, just real quick overview, the residential and for residential uses, you can have vehicles that are over 10,000 pounds if it's used for residential purposes within those zones, such as an RV, just to call that to your attention, or if it's a electric vehicle, like a Tesla truck, those are typically over 10,000 pounds. As long as it's used for residential purposes, that's okay. It's more the concern with the conditional use permit in these commercial industrial operations. So again, we went over this with the light duty classification from the Federal Highway Administration. This is the 10,000 license plate research with the X designation. we went out on site at one of the dealers to kind of understand the issue more. And so these are different sort of visuals to help you understand when that tips into that 12,000 pound scale for heavy duty vehicles, box trucks and things like that, up to like a semi truck at 80,000 pounds, and how they're registered at the DOT. Again, this is sort of a visual that shows these box trucks that can be over 21 feet in length and their size, and how they can maybe take up a full driveway if it's parked in a residential zone. So this, I think, was pretty straightforward in terms of amending the ordinance and then linking it back to the option for the conditional use permit. This is where we get more into the details of when the Plan Commission in this case would actually consider approval or denial. This would never come to the City Council for your consideration. So simple amendments to the table, and then our biggest concern as staff is all the issues that we might have when these vehicles might be set up next to low-density residential zones with air pollution, noise, possible moving into more commercial type activities within that residential zone property. And so things to consider, and then also wear and tear on driveways and roads, as well as this could be located in areas that the roads are not built for trucks. On-street parking situations where it might cause hazard for movement of traffic. So here's the ordinance in terms of what's proposed to consider. The vehicle type, we do sort of define or allow only certain sort of vehicle types in B. And this could be like a food truck, a cube truck, a catering van, tow truck, limousine, semi-truck, cab only. Keep that in mind. And then the vehicles in the low-density residential districts, only one heavy-duty vehicle would be allowed through the conditional use permit process. That it needs to be adjacent or adjoining other higher-density zones, commercial or industrial. Call those things to your attention. And the lot needs to be at least a half acre to allow that added space to accommodate these larger vehicles, to give separation for the air pollution, for the buffering, the fencing, and all that sort of thing. That we want the vehicle to be parked at least at the front of the house or back of the house, so flush or back, so it wouldn't be sticking out, to introduce, again, more of a commercial industrial look in these low-density residential neighborhoods. And again, just some more details about the types of services or surfaces for impervious surface, that it's a hard surface, and that we screen it with some sort of fence, gate, landscaping, trees, to make more of an opaque, dense screen to basically make it more compatible with adjacent residents next to that property. And then talking a little bit about what's not allowed to be stored with that heavy-duty vehicle. So other things that might that particular resident might venture into with, like commercial type vehicles, concrete mixers, oil mixers, tractors, tree spaders, you name it, the whole list here. And so this is information that we also looked at the City of Madison's ordinance to sort of, again, define what's not allowed as accessory to that heavy duty vehicle. So there's a lot to consider through this process, and the Plan Commission would have to look at this as the application and understand exactly if they're meeting all these conditions to be able to reach an approval, so that it's more objective and not subjective about granting that use permit. And then tying it back to no outdoor storage or storage about that heavy vehicle use, and the general nuisance clause, and that in this case that the conditional use permit would terminate at the sale, not run with the land. So we'd have to monitor that with staff. That is the proposed ordinance. Again, it was modeled off some things with Madison, other research with other communities. And staff, we do support the idea of moving the definition to this 10,000 square foot pound and the increased length. But we have concerns about this use being next to low density residential areas. And so that's our concern, is that that might have negative impact on residents that live next to these uses. Other than that, if you have any questions of staff.
Councilmember Miller?
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Director Noel. Question, so this ordinance applies to 1 or 2 unit dwellings and requires a conditional use permit. And then the location is adjacent or adjoining to a CC commercial corridor or industrial district. So it's for residential neighborhoods, but only those that adjacent or adjoin. Is there a definition on adjacent or adjoin? Is it like the one across from there, or is there like a buffer zone? Because it seems like it would apply to only extremely narrow strip of homes that are next to one of these districts.
Good question, Councilman Miller. And it allows 2 options. So the adjacent is like across the street, or adjoining is touching the property line. So it does give them 2 options.
So, I mean, it's probably hard for you to say, like, how many, what percentage of residential even, like, because, you know, we have vast residential neighborhoods that only the perimeter is like 3% of homes would even be eligible for a conditional use permit, something that small.
We did not do that analysis, but it's going to be a few out there for sure. It's hard to know exactly how much will open up the opportunity. It'd be a rare application, I would think, but it does provide an option.
And then,
Okay. Vice President Worthman?
Thank you. Can you share, so what I see in our community is a lot of times I see semis parked in residential or near residential neighborhoods on streets. That's not going to be allowed anymore under this, correct?
Council Member Worthman, that is actually not allowed to park
Right
on
now.
streets with trucks. Yeah, so it's in
That's-
violation. Like this one, for example, that's in violation right there.
Illegal.
You can't park a truck like that on the
Yeah,
street.
but I see this all over the place. One of the areas that you see it is
It happens.
North Riverfronts. There's a semi that parks in the residential area. There's Indian Head Foods. There's always trucks parked on the roadway there, just waiting till the next morning. And that actually brings up a second question for me, which is around idling trucks. Because sometimes these trucks are just idling throughout the night, which then has fumes going up into the air impacting. So you're saying this doesn't really even impact that. That was already not allowed before.
Correct.
Those parking on the
Right,
streets.
unless designated differently. But
Okay.
in general, yeah, this ordinance in Title 10 talks about not parking these vehicles on streets as well. So this is just a small portion of it related to residential zones, and that's what we're focused on here tonight. But it happens.
Okay.
Councilmember Brewster?
Thank you, Council President. Yeah, so the discussion that we had on Plan Commission was basically along the lines of there's people in the community that, you know, have built their livelihoods around, you know, being a truck driver or something like that, and their, you know, parking of their truck has, you know, potentially been there longer than our code that would prevent it. And so, at least in the places where they would potentially be eligible for the conditional use permit, which are right adjacent to places that would get a lot of truck traffic anyway, the thought was that we should give people an avenue towards, you know, what was it that one of the commissioners said, to get right with the Lord or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something to that effect, and that made me laugh. But I mean, the point stands that, you know, there's this like, you know, as previous speakers mentioned, this does exist in our community, and if we can direct it into an area that is, you know, less impactful for residential areas because it already exists there, then I'm fine with it. And, you know, it's not exactly an easy checklist to achieve. So with that, I will be supporting both of the code
So you don't have a question?
modifications. Wow, I totally just blanked out on that. I am so sorry.
Just ask him how his day
That
is.
was my comment.
Yeah, okay.
How's your day?
He wants to go sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could sit down.
You can go, yeah. No more questions? Oh,
Council President, I have a question.
oh, okay, I have a
for
question.
Okay.
Thank you. The the nuisance part of this, and the idling, what avenue would a resident have to address idling or other nuisances? Section J, yeah, there, Section J. Like what they call the police, community services, and then also another question I have is like with the conditional use permit, what maybe, I know we public notice, I'm not sure what the right term is, like when you do something and you have this buffer zone where you notify people that this is happening adjacent to them, you know, is it possible that with the conditional use permit that, you know, some number of feet around, the neighbors are just informed that, you know, this conditional use permit has been given, that way if there is idling or nuisance issues, they know that there's an avenue to do something about? Is any of that possible?
Yes, Council Miller. So yeah, when we notify this, people within 300 feet of the subject site get notified.
Mm-hmm.
They can come to the public hearing, support it, you know, oppose it. And so they would be also kind of those eyes and noses to see what's going on out there and report back to the city if it's a nuisance for them. And then we would have to look at this specific nuisance and go out there with neighborhood services or whoever to understand what the problem is and see if it's actually a violation or not.
But the first part, they would, the conditional use permit, there would be a notification?
Yeah, by state law, they have
Okay.
to be.
Okay, and then one follow-up question was that, the idling, they can't do that. I guess the elephant in the room is, I think there's a resident that had concerns about such a thing. To your knowledge, the resident that has approached council about this one, where they fit the condition for this conditional use permit that we're being proposed here, are you aware if any people who have asked about this would be able to apply for this CUP?
Yeah, the gentleman in question, mind you, he was in violation for quite some time, but he bought that house a while ago in terms of like, he understood that it was in a violation, so he was in a pre-existing situation, I guess is my point. But as it stands, this ordinance is written for the whole community, not one particular individual.
Well, my thing is, because you only do it in certain areas, like, you know, joining such a thing.
Right.
Do you know if the property in question would fall under the conditional use permit? I don't know where this is located, how it relates
Yes,
to
the individual
commercial.
would have to get a conditional use permit.
But
It
they
would
would
not
be-
meet all the conditions.
I'm sorry?
And would not meet all the
I
conditions.
see, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Vice President Worthman?
So this is back to Councilmember Miller's question, but it's essentially these conditional use permit requirements, you have to meet all of these. So you're in an allowed district or next to, you have a half-acre land, you are on a collector or classification road. Like, I think my worry here is, at the end of the day, we won't have anyone applying for one of these because there's so many things that you have to meet. And then what happens to the semis, people who have semi driving and who just exist in these places throughout our community that are pure residential neighborhoods who won't be able to get this? What happens to those folks?
Yeah, so good question, Councilmember Miller. Worthman. They are technically in violation. Keep that in mind. And as far as we know, there's not a lot of this going on in terms of parking semi-trucks in residential neighborhoods. So this was brought to our attention, Neighborhood Services, as a violation. We had to follow up on it. It's still an outstanding violation. This is an ordinance that is written for the whole city, not in one individual, and that's how we look at it as staff. I'm sorry, did you have another question?
I think there could be a half dozen to a dozen semis parked in this community in different neighborhoods. And I'm just wondering, I mean, based on what I see, and I wonder what happens to them.
Yeah, again, they are in violation. If they're in these low-density residential zones, they typically, from a land use point of view, they need to either find the zoning that is required, you know, commercial, rent actually these truck spaces, or go to their fleet where their trucks are located and come and go from those sites.
Okay. We can move on.
I was just going to comment on the topic of enforcement. So as part of neighborhood services, they've taken on just very recently taken on the citywide parking enforcement. So we do have a staff person now who can enforce citywide, but they don't go, if it's not bothering anybody, then they wouldn't, investigate necessarily proactively. But certainly those semis parked on the streets or idling could be something they could proactively enforce.
Okay. Thank you. Great. By motion made by Councilmember Schoen, that works out. Second by Councilmember Reed. This item is moved. Any discussion? Councilmember Schoen?
Thank you, Council President Berge. I'll be supporting this amendment to the ordinance, as was referenced earlier on. There's a constituent of mine that approached council to discuss his situation. Sounds like there's maybe, more discussion to be had potentially if he would be eligible for something like this. But I think regardless of that situation, I see this as a super reasonable change. As other council members have mentioned, these types of situations are happening in the community already. I think the list of conditions that staff have created with input from Plan Commission is really reasonable. Thinking about this type of activity being adjacent to industrial and commercial corridors, that those neighborhoods are experiencing that type of traffic already. And so I'll be supporting this. I could say more about that particular constituent situation, but I won't. I think it's more important to think about if this is reasonable for the whole community, and I think it is, so I'll be supporting it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, same Councilmember Miller.
Thank you, Council President. I think only because we do have this limitation that's going to be adjoining commercial corridors and industrial areas that I'll probably be supporting this one, because it keeps it to areas where this type of activity already exists. And the reason we have zoning is to have certain activity in certain neighborhoods, and if it were just be like people who are in violation currently, and just in the neighborhoods in general, that would be detrimental to the quality of life for these people in our city. But I think just because it is highly regulated to a very narrow strip of places adjacent, that's tipped me in supporting this ordinance change.
Great, thanks. I don't see anything. City, oh, his light is not on.
Stevie wants to say something.
Oh, he's good. We're gonna vote.
I so
Oh.
rarely comment on anything. No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
If I gave a look of desire
Larry
to
was.
speak, I didn't mean to, Councilmember Mboga.
All right, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Berge.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Imboga.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Otto.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Schoen.
Aye.
Serrano.
Aye.
Worthman.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Ordinances for introduction, we have one, parking prohibited, ordinance amending table 8, entitled Parking Prohibited of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Eau Claire to add parking restrictions on Venture Drive for business access and vehicle maneuverability. Would council like to suspend their rules and take this up tonight? We can prolong my last meeting. All right. Seeing none, we'll go on to announcements and updates.
So I was just going to share a few reminders to check your email. One is that we're trying to organize these city circuit meetings. I kind of regret naming it because it sounds kind of goofy, but the city circuit.
I think it was my idea, actually.
That's right. So if you want to organize one, please do, and also I'll put them on your calendar, and you can go or not go. But if, especially like the district reps or people who have a certain interest, or if you want to go to the farmers market, just throw the ideas out there, and we can put it on. Another one is that I was looking for your opinion on the advertisements on benches. So it's really just a judgment call whether or not we want to have a company put benches in places, especially transit stops, in exchange for having them advertise on those benches. So if you can take a look at that and just reply to me, the Transit Commission would like to do it. Other people think it's not a good idea. And then we're going to send out our annual resident survey in the next by the end of the week. So if you have any feedback on that, let me know. And then just one interesting event is the Eggs and Issues for April 24th, and I'm going to have Dave explain it. And it's cool because it's taking place at Sacred Heart, and it's not to celebrate the fact that both Dave and I were born there. But we were both born there.
Yeah, a few years ago. But Heartworks is a company with a couple of local, one doctor and an engineer that was actually down in Platteville at the same time that I was there, that are brothers, the Nelson brothers, that are from Osseo. They've done research at Mayo Clinic. They have a presence in Eau Claire now. Their company's called Heartworks. They take skin cells and they synthesize it into stem cells, and then they grow heart tissue to strengthen hearts, and they grow new heart tissue. So with all of the biomedical research that is out these days, they are the pioneers and are leading the class with cardiac tissue research. And they currently have a presence in Sky Park, Industrial Park, and they are going to be moving into Sacred Heart, the former Sacred Heart Hospital, and helping with their research there. Not only the lab research, growing the tissues and doing the research, but also training doctors and working with medical device manufacturers, because the Twin Cities is one of the largest medical device manufacturing hubs in the nation and in the world. And that all will be hopefully taking place on the HSHS site. So they're very excited. I want to thank Aaron White and Bill Youngberg as they're moving in. The city's working hand in hand with them to make sure that they're able to move smoothly into that facility, to make sure that all the electrical, plumbing, all the permits, everything they need from the city is smooth. So they're very happy with their partnership with the city so far. And this should be a dynamite tour. It's really cool, the potential and the upside that the city of Eau Claire could be the home for them in 20 years from now, be the place where if you we're born with a congenital heart defect, that the cure is in Eau Claire. So one of the Olsen, or the Nelson brothers, I forget which one it is, wants Heartworks in 20 years. Their vision is for it to be as important as like the Shriners Hospital is for those patients that they treat. So should be great Eggs and Issues for everybody to attend.
And David, to add on that,
Put your light on.
they moved their headquarters from Rochester to Eau Claire.
That would be a question for them. They're maintaining presence in both locations, and there's an element of redundancy with that. But this facility here is going to be key in their expansion and partnering with the medical device manufacturers. But I'm not sure that they will leave their presence.
Ribbon cutting.
Oh, okay.
Like last summer, I think.
Yep.
At the industrial area. So that I know them.
Oh, yeah, pretty exciting.
Yep. Thank you.
And then as you saw in the email and the news, there was a determination on the Town of Washington incorporation petition, and we will be taking steps to reach out to those neighboring communities in town to talk about boundary agreements. So stay tuned for that. Okay. And now, should we give Emily one more applause?
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, guys. Yay. Do I get to keep the gavel? My nameplate? Oh, okay. Oh, this meeting is adjourned.
Three, two,